I think all these economic indicators that we look at, whether it's the stock market or it's the unemployment rate, lowest since the Eisenhower administration, they're pointing to success for Joe Biden, right? If you're the president, you take credit for the stock market, right? You take credit for a good economy. You try to distance
anything
yourself.
You can.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, Donald Trump is trying to take credit for this stock market rally, which I think is just obviously absurd. And I think the biggest thing here is Donald Trump is his own worst enemy, right? He's great to the base. He's got this rabid support, but he's alienating more and more non-loyalists. And that's what we see. Look, Iowa, 29% of the people that turned out said they're not going to vote for Trump in the general election.
Once senseless but effective culture wars take a pause in our political discussions, these politicians and pundits revert back to fighting over whether or not the economy is strong and who should get the credit. So according to unemployment and the stock market, Joe Biden's economy is going great. Even former Trump administration advisors reluctantly admit it.
I was kind of enjoying...
Who else am I going to talk to about the economy?
I mean, my mea culpa, I was wrong about the slowdown in the recession. So was the entire...
I don't think you were wrong.
...forecasting fraternity. Well, the Fed, everyone was wrong.
I've had just about 2 years now of unemployment under 4%. That hasn't happened in 50 years. So it's a good labor market. And we've seen inflation come down. We've talked about that. So we've got 6 months of good inflation data and an expectation that there's more to come. So this is a good situation. Let's be honest. This is a good economy.
Here's the sticking point that makes some want to ignore all of the analysts and prognosticators. Whether the economy is considered strong or not, the vast majority of Americans still struggle, no matter who's president. We gauge the strength of how much the country has and how well businesses are doing, but how often do we gauge whether or not all that wealth and growth is enjoyed by all the Americans that contribute to it? You can be employed at multiple jobs at the same time, which many Americans are forced to do, and still never even dream of investing in the stock market. And if you do, you have to find a way to compete with the scales being tipped in favor of insiders and their buddies. Fairness in our country's success only comes when leaders focus on the rest of our society the way that they do for the wealthy. But to avoid all of that gray area, let's just celebrate.
We now have, in large part because of you and organized labor, the strongest economy in the whole damn world. We do. We do. In the whole world. Inflation's coming down. Jobs are growing. We created 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Remember they told us we were dead, manufacturing's dead in America? China was going to eat our lunch? Well, guess what, man? We don't taste that good.
President Biden acknowledges the contributions of working-class Americans to our successes, unlike Donald Trump and many Republicans. But the ways regular Americans tend to gain fairness seem to come when they're forced to go out on a limb and fight multimillionaires for it. So when are politicians going to start representing Americans rather than just the 1%?
Because you are all people that have a lot of money. I know 20 of you and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay off our debt.